The Summer Olympics are underway over in Paris. Of course, our local athletes in action will check in on how they're doing, but also there's a lot going on here. The Washington Commanders have the day off from practice. We'll hear what head coach Dan Quinn's message is for that day off. And we've got some interviews you'll only see here on DC News Now. On game night tonight, I'll go one-on-one with a former good counsel and Maryland football star that's now on the Commanders. And later in the show, we'll hear from Commanders minority owner and Mubadala Citi DC Open chairman Mark on the latest on the Commander Stadium search and how excited he is for this year's tennis tournament. All that and more coming up right now on Game Night.
The only 7-day-a-week sports show in the DMV. From DC News Now, this is Game Night.
It's about time now that Francis win this tournament. So I'm looking forward to Francis. He got to win this time. He let last year go, and he got to win this time.
I agree with our friend there, the fan out at the tournament today. High expectations for Hyattsville, Maryland native Francis Tiafoe in this year's Mubadala Citi DC Open. Francis is in town now. The tournament is underway, and we've got a lot more coming for you from Rock Creek Tennis Center later in the show. But first, we're talking football. We and the Washington Commanders have been staying busy this week, out in the heat, out at the first week of training camp, wrapping up in Ashburn on Friday, and here on Saturday, the team getting a well-deserved day off from practice. The team practiced the last 3 days, giving us a good look at rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels and other new faces here in Washington, like, for instance, linebacker Bobby Wagner, who's one of the new key additions. We also got a chance to see a little bit of how Dan Quinn and his coaching staff are going to be running practices. And speaking before Friday's practice, Quinn said that the days off are just as important as the days on the field.
Our times together are really intense. They go all the way through, so those little resets, they can help. You know, what went well in my 3 days that I did? What was one or two things that I really nailed, I've been working on? What's the one thing on this next 3-day block? By the time that's over, I want to have addressed that as well. So small margins to get better. They have to really recover, not just physically, but mentally as well.
A big part of this opening week of Commanders training camp was the players getting a chance to mesh together even more than they did over the offseason. This is a roster with a lot of new faces, and the team has said that those new faces are meshing together better and faster than even they expected. One of those new faces is linebacker Frankie Luvu, who spent the last few years in Carolina. Luvu will likely be used all over the defensive side of the field by Quinn and defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. This week, speaking to the media, Luvu said he's excited to play alongside all of the new faces on the Commanders defense.
I came on his defense and being put together with the guys that like Chin. You know, you got Bobby, year 15, I think, but he's still moving. 13, appreciate that, and he's still moving at a high level. You know, Payne, a lot of guys on the team, especially on the offense, man. That's the type of caliber team that we want. Guys running, playing at the end of the whistle and finishing downfield is what we always talked about. So, you know, but get in the best shape right now. We got to get in the best shape. And, you know, when come December, January, February, man, we standing there.
Sticking with the linebacker position, and another name to watch is 5-year pro Keandre Jones. Keandre is from Gaithersburg. He grew up playing for the Montgomery Village Chiefs youth football team. He was a star at Good Counsel for high school, and after a few years at Ohio State, played a year for his mentor, Mike Loxley, at Maryland. I got a chance to talk to Keandre this week about how now he's a Washington Commander. The second day of Commanders training camp with Keandre Jones, one of the newest linebackers here on the team. And Keandre, a local, yes. Grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland. What's it mean to play for this team? I assume you probably grew up rooting for them?
Absolutely. I was a big Sean Taylor fan, so RP to him. Just hoping to bring the winning back to the city.
And being here, part of this team, I'm sure you think of players like Sean Taylor, Marcus Washington, London Fletcher, guys I watched growing up too. I can understand that. You're out here wearing, it's not the same logo, but you're wearing Commanders stuff. You're wearing the burgundy and gold. When you take this practice field, is it special to you when you take this field every day at camp?
It is special, man. It's all about culture, and we're bringing a winning culture here, a lot of positivity and excitement.
I know your high school coaches are around, your youth coaches are around. We were talking about Coach Loxley at Maryland is around. What's it mean to be so close to all these people, and how great is it to have this community supporting you here?
Yeah, it takes a village to raise me. It really did take a village. Coach Loxley has played a tremendous part, being that mentor, role model, father figure to me, and then playing at Good Counsel, one of the prestigious high schools in the country. It's a lot of competition, and that's what it is in the NFL, a whole bunch of competition. That's just going to make me a better player and a human.
And you've come from this hotbed of the DMV, and you obviously want to make this team. What's the process like of now pushing for that roster spot?
Yeah, I just take it one day at a time. I'm going into my 5th year. I know what it takes. I know what it looks like. I've been with the Cincinnati Bengals for 4 years. So, just coming from that winning program these last 4 years and changing the culture. So whatever I can do, special teams, wherever the team needs me, I'm going to do my part.
Playing alongside a guy like Bobby Wagner, or even Frankie Louvu too, what have you learned from them? What's that experience been like?
You just watch and look at them be professionals, how they come into the building, how they work out, how they come into practice. You literally just watch everything they're doing and try to reciprocate it in your game.
And what about Coach Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.? What's it been like playing for them?
Oh, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have people that believe in you, give you an opportunity, and you definitely don't want to take it for granted. So like I said, I'm just taking it one day at a time, and when my number's called, I'm going to be ready.
And lastly, I always like to ask this question too, but is there a better area for sports than where we are right now, this DMV?
Absolutely. I might be biased, being from here, but you can't beat it. You can't beat it. It's a lot of tremendous talent, and it's a blessing to just come out here and see all the competition and guys compete, and we're going to keep it going.
All right, thanks to Keandre for that. Of course, he played his high school ball for legendary high school coach Bob Malloy at Good Counsel. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, there's a lot of competition along the offensive line. One name that could see the field as a starter is rookie third-round pick offensive lineman Brandon Coleman. Here's our conversation with him out at camp. How are you feeling in terms of your progression as a player, and how's training camp going so far?
Yeah, I mean, every day you kind of get one step better. When the vets got here, they helped me, the other rookies out tremendously, just working on our craft, being able to kind of get us on the right path, you know what I'm saying? Now training camp, all about competition, going arm and sharp iron. So it's been a great couple 2 days. We're ready to keep that stuff going.
Coach Bobby Johnson seems to have so much energy out there. What have you learned from him? What's it been like playing for him?
Yeah, one thing that I get from him is no matter how you feel, no matter what your mind is at, having that good energy on the field too, that translates to your teammates as well. And we all, we strive to have that energy to lift each other up, and that stuff helps a lot with how we play our game, even as a unit.
I asked you a similar question back at rookie camp, but I'll ask you again. Has Coach said anything now about, have they said you're going to get a chance to be the starting left tackle?
It's the same thing as it was back then. We're just here to compete every day, to make each other better, and then whatever happens, happens. But, I try to get 1% better every day, and that's where my mind's at.
And then in terms of you personally, how do you feel about where your game's at right now?
I feel good. Obviously, you want to be at the top of your game at all times, but I also know there's a lot I can work on and learn from these practices, from these vets, offense and defense. So I'm just happy to be here, be able to learn from all these guys.
Have you learned about the Hogs yet?
Yeah, a little bit. They taught us a little bit in the meeting, so yeah.
Is it cool hearing about that?
I mean, yeah, it's cool to have, a team where O-line's been so representative, to have such, stout guys playing for them. You definitely want to be like those guys, like role models.
And last one, Chris Chester's out here. I assume you've gotten to meet him as one of the coaching interns, I think it is. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. He played here not too long ago as an offensive lineman. Has he given you any advice? And what's it like, having him in this building, somebody that's been a successful offensive lineman here?
Yeah, it's always great to have those guys that come and, try to make the team better, even if it's just as interns. He came in here, and first day he came up to me, came up to all these other guys and gave me some pointers that translated onto the field like that next drive. And I'm always thankful to have those guys around to, watch your game, trying to make you better, and you can see that they have fun doing it.
And Commanders fans, tomorrow is the big day for you. Practice will be open to fans for the first time this training camp. Parking lots open at 7:30 a.m. Gates open at 8 a.m. and practice starts at 9 a.m. The team does say to fans, though, that parking is limited, and they recommend carpool and rideshare to get there if you do not have parking ironed out and purchased already. Here's a look at open training camp days for fans tomorrow. The first day, Salute to Service Members Day on the 29th. Season ticket holder days on July 30th and August 1st. General admission August 2nd and 6th, and Kids Day on August 4th. On to the Ravens. They kicked off training camp without their starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson. But Saturday, Lamar finally able to participate in team activities. He'd been dealing with an illness, according to the team, and had not been able to participate really much at all this week. Coach John Harbaugh said Lamar is back and getting into his routine.
the fact he's had to come back from being sick. You know, I thought he looked good. He had a lot of energy. I know he worked really hard to get out here and worked really hard to make sure he was ready to put his best foot forward as best as he could. I thought he did. And even as the practice went on, you could see him kind of finding himself even more and more. So I was really happy about it.
All right, coming up on the show, a lot more for you. We'll head to Paris, where we check in on Katie Ledecky and the U.S. Olympians over there. That's coming up next. All right, let's check in on our local Olympians in action. Katie Ledecky taking the pool for her first event in Paris. The Bethesda, Maryland native, an all-time great, surprisingly taking the bronze in the women's 400-meter freestyle. Her rival Ariana Titmus from Australia won gold, with Canadian 17-year-old phenom Summer McIntosh taking silver. Ledecky did have the fastest time in the morning qualifying heat, and of course she has 6 career Olympic gold medals and has a chance to add, I think, 3 more out in Paris. She'll race next in her best event, the 1500-meter freestyle, on Wednesday. Another local swimmer winning a silver medal, Tori Husk, the Yorktown High School grad from Arlington. Her medal came as part of the U.S. 4x100-meter relay, and Husk and the Americans did set an American record in the event, but Australia took the gold. Husk also won the 100-meter butterfly semifinal earlier today. Some men's basketball action. Wizards forward Bilal Coulibaly taking the court for France in group play. France beat Brazil 78-66. Coulibaly played a productive 9 minutes off the bench, scoring 3 points, grabbing 2 rebounds, and posting a block. The Washington Nationals picked up a win in extra innings last night in St. Louis. Tonight, they're battling the Cardinals and the weather. This one delayed quite a bit because of severe weather, so we don't have highlights for you yet. This one's still in action. Checking on the score in the 6th inning, Keibert Ruiz just hit a 3-run homer, guys. The Nats in control, 9-0. Looks like hopefully they can cruise to that win. We'll see. Don't want to jinx it there. We're back on the East Coast for the Baltimore Orioles as they take on the San Diego Padres. The O's have now lost 4 of their last 5 games, trying to turn things around here. Inching closer to August means we are getting closer to postseason play, and the O's hoping to forget about this one quickly, but down 9-2 in the 9th. Cedric Mullins giving us something to smile about. Line drive, right center, 11th homer of the season, but the Orioles drop one to the Padres at home. They lose 9-4. And they are still in the AL East lead, but it's slipping away, holding 1.5 game lead over the Yankees. Well, we've got a lot more for you coming up on the show. We will head to the Mubadala Citi DC Open, where we'll hear from the fans and go one-on-one with the chairman of the tournament, Mark Gein, who's also a Commanders minority owner. Stick with us. Welcome back into Game Night. Each year, Mark Gein, the chairman of the Mubadala Citi DC Open, who is a DC native and is now a Commanders minority owner, is kind enough to sit down with us to discuss the tournament and more. Here's our conversation that we had with him earlier today on the first day of the tournament.
Mark, it seems like every year this thing gets bigger and better. How do you feel this year about it?
Feeling great. It's really our favorite time of the year, and opening day is actually my favorite day because we open the gates and everyone's been waiting 12 months to come back, and the energy today is so palpable. It's incredible just to see the looks on people's faces being back at a place that they love. Makes all the hard work that goes into this really worthwhile.
It was almost a year ago today. I was standing at the Burgundy and Sold party with you down there at the bottom of the stairs. Everybody was celebrating. This is normally the busiest week of the year for you probably. Now it's probably even busier now that it's been a year being a limited partner with Josh Harris and the Commanders. How crazy is this week this year compared to usually how it is?
Well, it's so exciting. I mean, the tournament being back, the start of training camp, not just for me, but all sports fans in DC. But it's really special, obviously, uniquely special for me because of my involvement in both. It's been an amazing year at the Commanders. I mean, we've worked really hard. I feel really good about the progress that we've made. And I think it's been a great season.
We've talked about this before. You were a ball boy here.
Yeah.
You grew up in this area as a DC sports fan. I know you kind of had that pinch me moment last year. Does it still feel like that every day? I mean, do you feel like you're living out your dream with everything you're doing with the sports world here?
Yeah, honestly, I never take any of this for granted. I mean, every day, I always take a moment every day to reflect on how lucky I am to be a ball kid here, to be a fan of the football team, and now to be in these positions. You know, it's like dreams do come true, and I feel really blessed.
somebody who's similar to you, Francis Tiafoe.
Yeah.
He loves this area. He loves the teams here. He loves this tournament. He prioritized it over the Olympics this year.
Yeah.
I mean, how honored do you guys feel that he made sure he cleared his schedule, even with the Olympics, to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I love Francis. I've known him since he was a little boy, and this tournament means so much to him. Obviously, there's the Grand Slams. I think for him after that, he always says his other career goal is to get his name on this stadium. It's something he thinks about and works his schedule around. And the fact that he came here instead of being in Paris is great. But, you know, a lot of players did. There's a lot of players. 3 of the top 5 American men, 7 of the top 20 women all made that same decision. And we're really grateful, and we're making sure that they have an amazing time here in D.C.
And I want to talk about those top players, but on the women's side as well. We have Clervy, we have Robin Montgomery, we have Haley Baptiste.
Yeah.
What's it like, not just Francis, but having several D.C. area names?
Yeah, I mean, D.C. is such a hotbed of tennis, you know, with all these people who grew up as kids coming to this tournament and now playing in the tournament. I mean, that's the life coming full circle moment that we also really take a moment to reflect on. And then we look around and see all the young people here, and you wonder, well, who's the person in 10, 15 years who's going to be playing on these courts? But yeah, on the women's side, Robin, Haley, Clervy, all DC natives, all ones who grew up really close to this tournament, who got inspired by it, and now they're in the draw and doing great.
I wanted to quickly ask also, I know there's been some talks about the Commanders' stadium situation. I know you recently made some comments that said that a timeline could be 7 to 9 years for a new stadium is what I heard. I wanted to ask specifically about it. DC, Maryland, and Virginia, everybody's kind of all expressed interest in having you guys have a stadium there. Where are you guys at in the process of figuring out where it's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, this was going on long before we got involved and publicly reported all kinds of options long before we became the owners. And since then, this is obviously a top priority. We ultimately need and want a new stadium as quick as we can, but you're also making a decades-long decision, so the one thing you want to make sure you get right is the location. And we're exploring all the jurisdictions, having really positive conversations. Conversations keep advancing. And, you know, we hope that we'll reach a decision before too long, but it's still a long process. You mentioned, like, best case, you're probably moving in 7 years, maybe it's 9, but we're eager to do it as quickly as we can.
I know you and Josh both have those memories of walking up in DC to RFK. I mean, this tournament's here in DC.
Yeah.
Does the sentimentalness of what people in the city have with the district itself give any extra weight to trying to put it in DC?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of factors that go in ultimate to that decisions, some of which in our control, some of which aren't. But sure, I mean, I don't know, it's not a secret that that's, you know, that location means a lot to a lot of people. But there's a lot more that goes into where you ultimately go than just that. It's just one of many factors.
We'll have more from Mark Ein in part 2 of our interview at some point later this week. And as Mark mentioned, this tournament, a great experience for local tennis fans every year. And on the first day of the tournament, as always, fans buzzing all over Rock Creek Tennis Center, watching the games, eating, lounging in the food tent, and getting up close and personal, getting a chance to watch the players practice and get some autographs. There's so many different activities, and most importantly, looking forward to watching some tennis this week.
Last year, actually, I came out for the quarterfinals and semis, so it was great to see some of the best players. But today it's qualifying, so you get to see all kinds of different people go to the small courts, you know, get a lot of action.
So many players, great players, especially Tiafoe. We have Sabalenka, Ons Jabeur. We have for men's side, Christian Guerin, Chrissy, a lot of top players.
It's about time now that Francis win this tournament. So I'm looking forward to Francis. He got to win this time. He let last year go, and he got to win this time.
Let's check in with Loudoun United. They're taking on Pittsburgh. 63rd minute, Wesley Leggett with the equalizer, making it 1-1 in the match, and it stays that way all the way down to the final whistle. Loudoun comes out of this with a draw, finishing 1-1 against Pittsburgh. Well, coming up on the show, Jake Rahm is going to quiz Commanders punter Tress Way on some of his former teammates. You will not want to miss this. That's coming up. Punter Tress Way has been on the Commanders for a long time. He's the longest tenured player on the team, so he's had a lot of former teammates. Our Jake Rahm quizzed him on some of those former teammates and some fun trivia. Take a look.
Since you've been here in Washington, there's been 14 starting quarterbacks.
Oh my gosh.
How many of those quarterbacks can you name? They don't need to be in any order, because I know it's going to be 15 this year with whoever comes out and starts, Daniels or
I bet I could for sure get over 10, maybe even.
So
all
the
14.
over/under betting right now is 10. So let's see what you got.
All right, I can go just rattle them off.
You can just rattle them off.
All right, so RG3, Kirk Cousins, Colt McCoy, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, Garrett Gilbert, Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett. Oh, Jacoby did not start a game.
He did not.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Be a bonus point. I think you're down to what, 3 or 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3. And I'm going to be so embarrassed. I bet they're my Carson. I was about to say, as I was saying, they're going to be some of my buddies. Yeah. Carson. All right, so there. Carson, Sam Taylor.
There's 2. I would say they're near the
Mark
earlier.
Sanchez.
Yes, and one.
And
I think the
Josh
same year.
Johnson.
Josh Johnson. That's 14 for 14. 6 kickers that have been kicking here with this team since you've been here. I don't know if you've held for all of them. I'm assuming you've held for all 6 of them.
Yeah.
Can you name all 6
I
kickers?
can. I can. Kai Forbath, Hop, Nick Rose, Chris Blewett, Joey Sly, and Brian Johnson.
So we went a perfect 20 for 20 on that one. That's the way you do trivia right there, I guess, right?
If that doesn't confirm Tressway might be the greatest teammate of all time, I don't know what does. Great job on that trivia by Jake Rommel. That'll do it here for us tonight. Thanks to our crew behind the scenes for a great show and all our hard work here tonight. We will see you tomorrow night on Game Night.